All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Today we got Alex and Bowl for the podcast to talk about the Manta. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing well. Just waking up still, kinda, even though it's noon here. So
you didn't have to,
it's been a weekend.
They don't know that. They don't know what's new, man. It could be like just tell them it's like 7 o'clock.
Well, now I told them.
Yeah, you ruined the illusion.
It is actually 4:30. I just went on 3 jogs. I also did weight training. Ate 3 bananas with ice cold water, and I'm getting into keyboards right now.
Yeah, see, it's just always hustling. Yep. So here's the hope. Like I think with a project like the Manta, that there's always more to what people see, what they hold. With the end product, the keyboard itself. So a lot of times, we love to do these like interviews and podcasts to kind of just like take a look behind the scene of the project so people can hear from you guys, the designer, because in a lot of ways, I think this is what sets this hobby apart from a board like the Manta versus something you pick up from, a big box store. So to kind of kick it off, what was the first sentence you guys said to each other to kind of kick this project off? Like, what was the origin of the project?
I think I actually went to Bowl and I said, "Hey, Bowl, I have an idea for a keyboard." And then we hopped into a call. But I don't remember exactly the specifics.
Yeah,
Do you remember?
No, I was gonna hope you did because, well,
No.
like we've kind of been working on it for a while. I feel like the initial, I just kind of remembered hopping in a call and messing around in CAD and coming up with something pretty much.
Basically, I had an idea, and I told Bowl, I'm like, I got this really interesting idea, which basically the initial idea was those pillars. Mm-hmm. And then I just said, can we make this work somehow? And then it was just like a crazy, whatever long Discord call into crafting the idea into something decently workable. But we moved pretty quickly at the beginning, but that's kind of what started it.
Yeah. So I'll ask this then. Why Bowl, Alex? You've been around the hobby for a while. I feel like you know a lot of different designers. Why did you pick Bowl over the others?
I liked what Bowl was doing. So there's 2 reasons. One, the Pangea Mini, when that released, and when I got to look at that, I think it's no secret, I really liked the Pangea Mini. I think it was a combination of the internals, like how well thought out the design was, regardless of the aesthetic of it, because I know Pangea series aesthetic is not for everyone. I liked everything about it, and I said, well, this guy obviously likes keyboards because he likes what he's doing, and knowing how involved Bowl is in the community, which wasn't really something that was brought to light, not brought to light, but it wasn't something so like on the forefront of what Bowl was doing. Like, it wasn't like, hey, Bowl help with this, because he's helped with a lot. He helped even with I believe it was the Eden, when I had problems with the Eden. He was there to help the designer for that. And seeing how passionate he was, I immediately was like, okay, if I'm going to go to someone for a project like this, I want Bowl, because he's passionate, and I want someone who actually gives a shit about what they're doing. Yeah. So
what about for you, Bowl? Like, from your perspective, you have done so many different collabs. Like, what made you say yes to this one, especially like this is probably a larger collab that you have done with somebody else, What was it about when Alex approached you? You go, yeah, let's do this.
Well, it was like shortly after I'd already sent him a keyboard, so it was, a little flattering because I was like, oh, he wants to work with me. So that was nice. But since I've been like a long time viewer myself of Alex's streams, and, he's one of the biggest and best creators in keyboards, so I was happy to work with him, especially when he came with a kind of novel idea to begin with. It's like, because sometimes somebody will come with a collaboration, it's like, it's not something that maybe I would think would stick out or something like that. So if somebody comes with something that's a unique idea and I'm like, oh yeah, let's do this. It's easy to get excited about when there's something fun about it or something unique. So when he kind of came with the pillar idea, I was like, I haven't really seen that. So I was like, yeah, let's do it.
So even on that, with the pillar, the fin side profile, at what point did you guys realize this has to stay in the final design no matter the cost? Because you guys have both said it on stream several times, that piece alone costs more than the rest of the board combined. So like, what was that, an early decision? Was that midway or at the end? Like, at what point in the whole process of like, you guys are like, we got to do this, it doesn't matter what cost, we're doing this?
Pretty much right away. I think it was kind of like, we're gonna do this and we'll figure out the rest around it. Pretty much is how it went, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree. It was basically right at the beginning. We already knew this was going to be quite expensive because I think one of the things I said was I kind of want it to be organic, the way it sloped down. So the internal piece was all, like the inside of the fin, not even the outside afterwards, where it kind of made like extra curves and shapes, was already going to be quite costly probably. And then when we kind of got to the end result, I think we both decided like, yeah, this is going to be something that we both have to be okay with being expensive. And I guess we just have to hope people appreciate our vision for that. So,
yeah. So kind of want to move into like the internal design. Like, you know, the Manta's got those like ridges, you know, on the internal part to kind of scatter, you know, the acoustics instead of like muting it. Where did that idea come from? Did that from just like testing different kind of boards? Was that or is something else that inspired that idea?
That was really just different boards. Like that was a whole bunch of different projects that I think I've personally looked at through the years. And then when I brought it to Bull's like, oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Like, because there's been other boards that kind of do the same thing, but not as, I don't want to say not as well, but maybe not to the way I would have wanted it done, which is kind of why we did the Manta.
Yeah, mine was, I had done previous keyboards with those raised parts in the internals as well, but then we kind of went a step further with being able to make them even higher to reduce the volume even more by working with Gondo to make the PCB have all the components on the top side of the PCB so that you don't have to worry about those colliding with any internal structures.
So even like related to that, like this is kind of where, you know, we messed up on our end a little bit at Scoop Bar, you know, like with the prototype, there was some like reverb issues. Like, can you guys walk me through how you found it? Because that kind of caught us off guard. Like, I think for me, like when I was like, you know, testing it out, I was like, because I never really work with a design that's got the pillar, so I didn't know what to expect, you know, like how did you guys like caught that like in the process of like, oh, there's something going on here?
So that was kind of a multi-part thing. There's a few different pieces of the prototype because we only did one prototype. Like we did one run of protos and we kind of crossed our fingers being, okay, we're going to go balls to the wall. We're ordering 6 prototypes, all the same, different colors. Let's see how this sounds. So the first issue that we found was parts of the Manta. Like when you have 2 pieces of flat metal that mate together like that, they can cause vibrations. Mm-hmm. So the pillar area was causing some unnecessary vibration with the bottom case. And then that we decided to put like a little sticker on, which we're doing for the final design. And I believe there's also some minor revisions being happened for the final there too. Then the internal of the case was a 2-part problem. I say problem, but it's a very, very small thing where the angled screw bolts, if you don't put, well, you have the option to put a little sticker on top of those. You need to have a small bit of tolerance between the top case and those angled screws, or else there's a little bit of vibration there. Mm-hmm. And then more importantly, when we finally got our working hot swap units in, because originally there was a mistake or misstep being taken with the hot swap PCBs, so we didn't actually have a working hot swap PCB until I think like a month after we received everything else. We noticed that the hot swap sockets, as well as screw-in stabilizers, were causing collision with the ridges on the inside bottom of the case. So one quick fix was tape. We didn't realize Milmac sockets would also cause that, but pretty much Bull and I have been over this, but all that stuff's going to be revised for the final unit. But just stuff like that. I mean, it's prototypes, especially when you only get to do one run. You kind of have to be very open-minded to everything being fixed. So
yeah. So even like for both of you guys, when you heard, you know, like the issue with the ridges, like, did that stress you out? Did that made you excited? It's like, oh, something to like, you know, solve? Like, because I can tell you on my end, like when I realized what happened, I was stressed out of my mind. Alex, you probably could tell on the call. I was like, I feel like I ruined, you know, the board. What do I need to do to fix it? I was so stressed. Like for you guys, like when you hear like an issue like that, what was that like for you?
For me, it's kind of just how can we fix it? Because like you'd have to be really lucky to have a prototype 100% perfect. I think like that's what we've used it so much. We kind of find a few things that we're like, oh, let's tweak this for the production. Like it's not super stressful since pretty much every design I've done has had some sort of revision. So it's kind of like, what do we approach to fix it? And that's when you just kind of hop on a call and be like, what issues are you having? And then what solutions have you found to fix them? And then that's kind of how we land on a good final product.
Yeah, I didn't feel any stress either. Same thing. Even when you had yours, it was kind of like, oh, that's interesting to know. And then that prompted a call being like, all right, maybe we should do this to the internal ridges as well. Like we were already planning on doing something to them, but maybe we stretch them back even further in this particular area. And, you know, I mean, this should go for anyone building a keyboard, not just for this project, but getting more hands on something and finding errors. I guess it's perceived as a bad thing to the viewer because it's like, well, this project had problems. But for someone designing something, it's like, okay, well, that's one less problem now we'll have to deal with afterwards if I didn't give this person that thing. So imagine we never gave it to you, we never found the Mil-Max sockets also potentially interfered with things. Sure, maybe it could have been fixed with the things that we were already doing to fix things, but imagine if we didn't make that extra decision to pull a certain extra part back even like a millimeter. Then that's just a problem we have to deal with afterwards. So more problems pre-production equals a better product, usually, in my eyes anyways.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, you know, more eyes on the better. So that's, that was definitely a lesson I've like personally learned, like coming out of this. Like, this might be more for Bowl. Like, how fast do you think the turnaround, like a fix like this, like, does this impact the production timeline or not really? Like, in terms of all the like fixes you guys are implementing?
No, it won't affect the production timeline at all, since none of the issues we identified need a new prototype, because it's just slightly moving a couple edges and that kind of stuff, and like adding the force brake gaskets. Those don't need a prototype. They're just a small adjustment that makes it more compatible. You know, you might need a prototype if you're making something tighter tolerance or something, but since we're expanding it, we won't have to worry about that. So yeah, it won't affect the adjustments are already all done on the CAD files. So, and we talked to the manufacturer and everything, and they're ready to go. So yeah, that's the nice thing about not rushing the project, and that was kind of our approach from the start. Is like, we want to make sure it's good. It's going to be expensive, so the least we can do is make sure that the final customer doesn't have issues. So yeah.
Yeah. So the Manta had a few different colorways. You know, you got the Machinist, the Pumice, the Americano. Was there like a weird color name idea that didn't make the cut?
No. Literally, I think our colors ended up being very earth toned. Mm-hmm. Maybe the tangerine, because the red one was actually chosen by the community. But everything else was very earth toned, and I think we kind of looked at that afterwards, and we kind of were just again like, shrug, these are colors we like right now. Oh well. But yeah, that's kind of where we ended. I think some people are a little disappointed we didn't add more colorful choices, but honestly, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe in my personal experience, when I have a very colorful keyboard, I end up having it on the desk for less time. Obviously, it's all preference based, but when I have something more neutral, mm-hmm. and I can put whatever color keycaps I want in it, it ends up staying on my desk longer. So
I feel like we kept adding colors. Like we're like, oh, let's do these 3 colors, and they're like, oh, but this would look really cool. And like we changed the Machinist we took a little vote, and people really wanted the full raw aluminum, instead of, we were gonna have silver anodized aluminum and then the raw copper fin, but then people wanted the raw alu top and bottom. So that's, yeah, I feel like we kind of added, I think we literally started with 3 colors, now we have 6, but that's how it goes.
True.
So like, you know, even right now, like all the colorways, it's like a fixed pairing, right? There's no like the mix and match, you know, for the top and the bottom and the fin and all that, like the Pangea Mini. Like why the like kind of the fixed pairings instead of just like a, you know, a free for all?
Pretty much not necessarily a request from the manufacturer, but a kind ask to not make it too complicated, basically, because the problem is when you have that, like a lot of times you'll have like only one, like say one person buys one color, and then it's like you have to produce an extra unit to make sure that you don't get a B stock. So like it's a lot more costly to do the customization, I guess. So that's another thing. We didn't want to already kind of inflate the price past what it already was. And then also timeline, like we really want to get this out as fast as possible. So doing fixed colorways just makes packing easier, makes it easier for the vendors, makes it easier for the manufacturers. So like it's pretty much just to streamline it. And like obviously it would be nicer to be able to customize, but Alex already made a trade channel in his Discord for anybody that wants to trade their weights or any other case components. So that's pretty much it. We just didn't want to overcomplicate it or make it more costly than it already is.
Yeah, which actually might tie back into your question of maybe concessions we had to make for prices.
That's true.
This actually technically might be one too, because like Bull just said, we had to concede the ultimate customizability for the keyboard to save people some money, which I think at this price point is very well worth it.
Yeah. And I think like, I noticed like just how many boards on like, this on the higher end, like the more of a designer board element, you don't get many full customization and colorways. It's usually fixed colorway, like I noticed there was a little bit of the expectation from, like the more budget friendly, the wide mass appeal. That's like that expectation is being put onto, a designer board where the MOQ is, not even close to being the same, as one of those like entry board stuff. But just be a Giga Chat, man. Just buy all 6 colorways so you can have all the combination you ever want, man.
Easy,
dude.
Let's go.
What was like the single biggest change from like the original design to the production version?
Well, it's actually, I don't think it's a design that anyone really saw. Originally, we actually had like catchball system and
that and the mountain.
I think that was really it, but no one saw that. I think we mentioned it, but
we didn't even
no
prototype that. We kind of we started with the catchball and then we're like, do we really want this? And we were like, not really. So we changed it to hidden screws and then moving the mounting points a little bit to try to get the best feel and sound. So that's pretty much it. Like the external design though, I don't think it really changed that much after the first revision.
Yeah, like once we had like a decently final revision, it pretty much stayed the same. There was some weird revisions we had. Like originally we were gonna put like a weird pattern on the fin, and we went through some pretty ugly patterns. But yeah, it ended up being just shaped, which I think looks more classy. But again, nothing anyone saw. Like once we actually prototyped it, there hasn't been any other revisions. So other than just small minor changes.
For me, when creating something, like, like in the creative process, there's always some small detail in whatever you work on that you kind of just obsess over. Like, for me, like, in the video stuff, they're just like stuff that nobody else will ever know. Like, they don't care. But I pour 90% of my time into it. Was there any of that for like the Manta for you guys, either from like, packaging to, designing to across, like, was there like, what's like the smallest detail that, for each of you that you worked on that you just kind of obsessed over that unfortunately, like, people probably will not notice, but you do, like, you care a lot about it?
I think something I generally do on not just the Manta, but like any design that I feel like people don't notice is like matching up like the radiuses on like the corners and stuff like that. And it's like something you might not necessarily notice, but you would notice if you didn't do that. So like I think that kind of thing, like, and like just obsessing over tiny details. So like you have to zoom way in on the CAD file that you're not going to see in real life. But I think it's those kind of things that similar to like video editing, it's like it's easy to point out on a computer screen when you're looking at just a small part, but then when you're actually seeing the whole picture, it's like, how much do you really notice it?
Yeah. I don't think there's any small details on my end. Pretty much like we even kind of stripped away any sort of like before it even happened. Like we don't even have any like hidden details in the internal case or anything like that. But I think the idea was just to create something straightforward, and also kind of cool. Some people don't recognize there's a small curve on the side profile of the top case. Maybe that's one detail that kind of gets overlooked with the Manta, but I would say like pretty much looking at the visuals of the case, you can almost appreciate everything. Maybe not small things like Bull just said, but
yeah. No, I agree. The side profile, like, you know, when I got to hold it, I was like, whoa, this is cool. You know, because like I feel like all the attention has been on the fin, but I absolutely love the curvature on the top case. You know, like I'm looking down because I'm looking at it right now. But it's just like, it's like, oh, this is such a cool design element that can easily be overlooked, you know. But I love it. It just looks amazing. For me, man, like I kind of wish I showed this a little bit more in the video. And Alex, I know you asked me to do a little bit more, but like the packaging is actually fantastic, and I can't wait for, you know, everyone that hopped in on this project. Like the packaging is really cool. I love the packaging. I mean, I know it might be a small thing, but I think it looks, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. When I saw the box, I saw the, you know, the case and everything. It's like, oh, this is well put together.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. We did the packaging too.
Yeah.
And then
Alex did
I think
the
it turned out
packaging.
pretty fun. Yeah.
No, it's good. It's unique. It just like, it's a very unique keyboard packaging. I mean, like, you know, I know it's just still a cardboard box at the end of the day, but I can tell it's like, man, there's thought put into it. The design, it looks really cool, and it fits. You know, there's like a very specific branding, like cohesiveness to it.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, so even between the both of you, like, who is more likely to push for something that's purely aesthetics over something that's purely functional?
I'm probably
I
gonna
think
say
both of us.
I
Oh,
was gonna
okay. Actually,
say-
I want to hear Bulls first.
I was gonna say maybe Alex, because like I've like the I don't think this happened with this project, but sometimes people will be like, oh, we should really do this, and then I'm like, this is literally impossible to make. I don't think Alex did that at all, but
No.
I think he has a better aesthetic mind than me for that. So I'm just gonna say Alex for that reason.
I was gonna say both of us, only because I think we both understand what's physically capable, like, of being made. And then aesthetics just comes with, like, you know, ideas like the shaped bottom of the fin. I didn't do, like, the bottom part. That wasn't even I think that was actually just Bowl just doing that. Like, you know, the curves on the bottom side. But there was just a lot of stuff that I think having two brains together working on something made the whole project just better,
Yeah.
I feel. And then when we ended
Yeah.
up with kind of like a very timeless looking case with a lot of flair to it, because I think the Manta exudes that, you know?
No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it helps that, you know, like you both have been around for a while, like, and seen a lot of keyboards, you know, so it's, you're not gonna, let's design something that's impossible, you know?
Yeah.
This one's kind of a bit more for you, Alex. Like, you have reviewed a lot of keyboards, you know, but now being on the other side of things, like, you know, having something that, you know, you have collab with design, like, how is it having your own design reviewed, you know, like you and Bowles, you know, like, you know, it's not just obviously you designing, but like, what is like, how's it has been like for you having something that you have put effort into being reviewed by somebody else? What's that experience been like for you?
Honestly, just, I don't even, like, it doesn't feel any different to me. I think, okay, I have this mindset here. When I look at a product, any product, whether it's like something I looked at or designed or whatever, I'll just use whatever's on my desk right now, like the Solaris. Like, if I like it and this works for me, and I think I would like to say that I have enough knowledge to be like, okay, this objectively works, I haven't had any issues with it, then that's it. Like, that's the only opinion that is maybe as self-centered as this is. That's the only opinion that matters, because at the end of the day, I'm the one using it. Now, again, I'm in a position where maybe some people will look at what I say and be like, well, Alex likes it, or, you know, he gave this a good score or whatever, I don't know. So I do have to keep that in mind. But again, like, if I review my own thing and I'm like, okay, I'm looking at this, like, we looked at it under a microscope, basically, me and Bowl, for the Manta. And if I like it, then I think I would be confident enough to recommend it to someone else. If someone else doesn't like it, like, I've seen people hate on boards that I absolutely love. I think it's the same idea. Just like everyone has different tastes and preferences. So at the end of the day, like, I'm looking out for my tastes and preferences at the end of the day. So I can never satisfy everyone, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of that, I mean, this is kind of for both of you guys. Like, do you read every single comment, like, of the boards that you have been, like, for the Manta specifically, or even just Bowl for you? You had, several boards being reviewed by other people. Like, do you guys read every single comment, for the content out there, or do you just typically avoid them?
I wouldn't say avoid them, but like the most important feedback to me is people who have used it. Mm-hmm. So like if I send a keyboard out to reviewers, I try to make it a practice to ask them if there's anything I should change. I think it's an important part of, that's why you send it, right? You want somebody to point out anything that you didn't notice. And like we were talking about earlier, with more hands on it is usually better. So like, I think their opinion's more important. Generally, like, you're going to get comments, good and bad, no matter what you do. So I think you just have to not take it to heart, because like at the end of the day, the people leaving hate comments, they don't need to purchase your project or support your project if they don't want to. So like, I don't know, they're just a person typing something on the internet also. So it's kind of like, you're not going to please everybody, and that's okay. Not every product is for every person, and that's just, I think, something to keep in mind if you make anything, to not get down on yourself. It's like, you have to look at the people that also support you, and that's pretty much what you don't want to get dragged down by negative comments. But you can also, I should say that I'm not saying I don't read comments, because I think it's nice to see good comments and constructive comments. So I would say I look at them, but I maybe don't take mean things to heart, I guess, is where I stand.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I read almost every comment. Like, I have the YouTube comment, notifications on. Like, I read Twitch chat every night. I keep up with the Discord pretty heavily. I've seen other Discords. There are some times where people just, they will take digs at you, and sometimes they don't feel justified. And ultimately, like, that's their own problem. That's their own prerogative to do so. And what am I supposed to do? They definitely hurt. There's just never going to be a time where I can be like, yeah, that didn't hurt me because I had fixed. No, bro, they always hurt. But you can't, like Bull said, you can't really like base your entire existence on one angry person's like criticism towards you, because sometimes I've seen people fold on their criticisms the moment you kind of dissect them, and they're just like, yeah, you know what, I was just acting out of anger for this day, or I was acting out of pettiness for whatever reason.
That's good self-awareness, man. I'll take that as a win.
Yeah, there's definitely been people like that. There's people who triple down on their takes, which is fine too, but ultimately, what are you supposed to do? Like, you can't really do much. You just have to keep on taking steps forward, looking at the people who are, giving you valid criticism in a more positive manner. And I don't mean that as only good criticism. I just mean that they're just not being mean-hearted about it, because I think that's also a part of delivering criticism, is you don't have to do it in a dickhead energy way,
Yeah, there's a difference of being honest and just being a jerk. Being a jerk does not mean you're just being honest.
Part of Alex and I both streamed it, and I think like it's a direct line of communication, which is, I think, nice. Like, that's part of the fun thing about keyboards. It's like, we have our Discord servers, we stream. People can talk to us directly, like, and that it's good and bad. But like, a lot of times, like with the streams, people ask a question, and it's like, it's nice to be able to directly answer it, and you can give them an answer, because a lot of times when people maybe post something, they don't know why something is how it is. So if you can give an answer that's honest, I think it's a good way to talk to people who maybe just don't know about the project. So that's all they need to like support, is like hear a little bit of the mindset behind why we did something. Like people have asked, I'm sure people have asked Alex also, but like, why is it so expensive? And it's like you could take it as a criticism, but I think it's more of like you can explain why the project is expensive. And like we talked about earlier, it's like there's a lot of factors that go into it. And I think one comment that stuck out to me is like somebody saying why you should buy this over like whatever the $200 board is, and it's like maybe you shouldn't. That's you have to decide based on
who's forcing
what you see here and what you see there. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, but I think one person I talked to, kind of like after talking to them about it, they were like, okay, yeah, I see the value here, and it's like, that's nice to see, like people being open to it. And I think that's important for anybody, from a designer or just viewers, to keep an open mind about anything, because like you can always learn from people, and kind of learn why something is how it is.
Yeah.
So I actually, to add that too, the only criticism that the only comments that I actually ever really engage in is dispelling bullshit, basically. Like, I've seen a few people say that we're purposely limiting the amount of flame patina units because we want to like inflate hype. But like, we literally, if it's okay that I say this, Bull, we literally kind of got slapped on the wrist / scolded for even doing the amount of flame patina that we did, because the factory, like we told people, is new to doing flame patina by hand. Yeah. So even at a certain amount, they're like, hey guys, can you not? So we're just like, all right. So it's not just me and Bull being like, yeah, we're only going to make 10 because we want to make an extra $20 per unit. It's not. It's just literally us trying to do something cool, and then the factory's first time doing it, they don't want anything to go wrong, and then we don't want anything to go wrong. So like I said, we actually did get slapped on the wrist for this. So it's
just a little.
It's funny that, just a little slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I think a lot of times it's like what most people don't realize. It's a hard balance to strike of like, you know, like you guys said, you cannot be, you gotta have some thick skin, like when you're doing this in terms of like, you know, designing, content creation or whatever, like, because like you're going to get some unfair, you know, comments or judgment on you, or people assuming the worst of you. But you also don't want to become so callous that you kind of just shut off any kind of critique, any kind of feedback, you know, like completely being disengaged to the community that you're being a part of, and create like an echo chamber. And, you know, that's a lot harder to do because like because you pour yourself out into what you're making, right? Like, you know, that's why you guys do what you do. You care about a lot. So, but you also want to make the best product. So you also need feedback, but then, you know, then you got the internet being the internet, you know, so it's like, you know, like striking that balance is difficult, you know, it's hard not to get your feelings hurt, or some days, you know, being really down by it, you know, but at the same time, you don't want to shut yourself out, you know, from being able to learn.
And that's why
grow.
I think,
yeah.
That's why I think too, it's like, for me, it's about dispelling trash, basically. Like, you know, if someone's just lying about something that we had no intention of doing, like that's a snowball that I don't want to get bigger.
Yeah.
Right. But when it comes down to criticism, whether it's like in a bad delivery or good delivery of criticism, like I've seen people, not just this board, but like other boards being like, this board would be better if it was this layout. It's like, well, just think for a second. It's not that layout. So
yeah.
What's the point of even saying that? And it's just one of those things that just, I get it. Like, it's your opinion still, but sometimes you just have to take those things with a grain of salt and just be like, all right, well, that person's not going to buy it because it's not a 75%, or this person's not going to buy it because it doesn't come in the two colors they really like. And those are fine. Those are things, like, those are people's preferences, and you have to just accept those and just with a smile be like, all right, maybe next time we can get something done in your color, or if enough people want it type thing, we can do it next time. Or if it's valid criticism, we're going to fix this for this time. Yeah. So it's just how you take that and how you handle it.
No, my favorite one is, why is there no red board for this? That's my favorite one.
Well, there is now.
What's like the biggest lesson for each of you guys, like, you have learned from, you know, doing the Manta that you're going to carry on to the next design? I'm just assuming there's going to be a next design.
Okay,
you better.
I have a good one. This is something that I had a feeling would work, and I remember talking to Bowl about it early on, and that's almost storytelling of the keyboard and being open and honest about the keyboard, like the design process. So originally, like, okay, I feel like a lot of boards these days, and you review boards too, you can probably tell me, everything's just like, this board's coming out in 30 days. You'll all have 2 streams from these 2 streamers. They'll get to use it for about 5 to 10 days, and you're going to make decisions based off of this. And you have to, like, internally scramble within 30 days to be like, all right, watch these 3 or 4 pieces of content, base it off this. How will it sound like this? Who knows? Because there was only this amount, and you have 30 days to decide. I think being able to kind of like show the process, and not everyone has the opportunity to do this, but show the process and the journey of like early photos to like, hey guys, we're doing this cool project, and being open and honest and transparent about the whole journey makes people feel more attached to what they're buying. I mean, hell, even from my perspective, it made the whole project feel cooler. Like, it just made the whole project feel like everyone was a part of it, not just Bull and I. So I think that's like the biggest lesson is you kind of have to take your time with showing and marketing your projects, because I don't think rushing things and okay, I don't think posting on Geekhack is enough. I think you kind of have to be a bit more open and put yourself out there and almost vulnerable.
Yeah, I think my biggest lesson is like you don't always know the best. Like we didn't originally have the machinist colorway, right? And now it's literally the most sold colorway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that was why it's like Alex was saying, like we're so involved with the community, and like that's what's fun about it for me is like we held a vote and people were like, no, we want raw. And now, I mean, they showed up to the vote, and now they're showing up to buy it also, because it's literally like by a high margin over any other colorway. So it's like just kind of keeping an open mind to what people want. I mean, they're your customers, and I think that's why being vulnerable with them and like asking people what they want is kind of a good way to like deliver the best product and make sure everybody, well, you can't please everybody, but get the most amount of people happy as possible, especially with a change like a colorway. Like it's just keeping an open mind is kind of the best way. And I think, like Alex was saying, it does engage people more, and like doing the streams is really fun. Like we did the co-streams where we're just talking back and forth. About half the time was about the keyboard, but you know, that's how the average keyboard stream goes. So yeah, just being open.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of sounding super cliche, but like to me, what makes this hobby special, like it's the human element of it, right? Like the designer behind, you know, each board and the community's involvement for, you know, because like I can buy an Amazon keyboard that I have zero buy-in, you know, like I have no, you know, I don't know who designed it. I have no input into it. Whereas the Manta is different, you know, like hearing from you guys, you know, the vision for it, to even seeing the community and even being involved myself of like, I want to see this colorway, where can we make that changes? It's like even, you know, when we're talking about making the plate fork, you know, for the Manta, you got to do a special plate fork because of the PCB design of community feedback. And then like, you know, watching, and the community even got to watch you both designing it live. And then now there's a file for it for anyone that wants to get it, and they can get it for free. So it's like, that's what makes it special, you know, like, you know, as opposed to me just picking up something from Best Buy, which there are times for that too. You know, there's stuff I need for that. But I'm in this hobby for something altogether different. It's the human element of it, you know. So yeah, no, for sure. I can't wait to see you guys do more stuff, man. So here, like, you know, in terms of like even just talking about like the community, like what is like one manufacturing or design detail you wish people in the community understood more?
Ooh, that's interesting.
I think
one detail.
My biggest is like, from prototyping so many designs, like I found that the sound and feel, like the most impactful thing is literally just the plate design. And I think Manta proves it, kind of like the motorsport colorway is all aluminum, and in my opinion it sounds great, and like you don't really need a weight for everything. I think we designed the plate which have multiple mounting options, so like you have the softer and more stiff mounting. I think I prefer the grommet gaskets the best. But the fun part is that you can kind of switch those. Like I kind of like putting the socks on the bottom and the grommets on the top. But yeah, I think the misconception is like that. I think like there's so many factors that go into how it sounds and feels. Like you can't pinpoint one thing, like having a weight or not having a weight. So like I think it's like you got to think about all the different factors and like how easy it is to change the sound and feel of your board with the different plate material, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for me, I think the biggest thing I wish people knew, but this is something I've been hoping for a while, is just people understanding difficulty to machine and MOQs and stuff like that. Like it's a vast, you know, sea of things that can decrease or increase your price. And I wish more people were receptive to hearing some of this. I mean, one of the most iconic comments I've ever gotten on my YouTube channel, when I used to speak about, oh, this is like a more complex board, it has X amount of pieces that all need to be machined. The most iconic comment I got was, well, if you just give me a block of aluminum and a chisel and a hammer, I can do this myself, and it would only cost the cost of the aluminum, and machining's like this big lie and stuff like that. But you know, when you submit something like to get machined, and I even learned this like when I was when I was more interested in like the salvation back in the day, like it's not just about the machine, it's about like the upkeep. Like these machines, some of them, like there's problems with them, like they break down, like the parts are expensive, there's time to machine these things. You know, if a designer submits something, sometimes the people who run the machines will have to give feedback, and their time costs money, because sometimes things are just not able to be machined. Like sometimes someone who CNCs will be like, okay, this is too crazy and won't work. You need to do this, this, and this. And then that becomes consulting, which raises the cost of stuff. So I think there's a lot of like small hidden things when it comes to the process of getting something done. That people just, I don't want to say they like to overlook, but it's just easy to overlook it when you have companies releasing products where their MOQ is 5,000 to 10,000, and they're able to get something decently complex for half the cost because they're doing 20 times the units that you are.
Or they own the factory.
I do wish people would be a little bit open-minded to that. Like when a designer, like Bull just said, designers submit something to a company, well, they don't own that factory, so they have to pay them, and now those people need a profit. But when you own your own company and own your own machining factory, like some companies do, well, yeah, of course it's going to be lower prices.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things I wish people are not receptive, but maybe more understanding.
Sure.
But again, I get it. It's your dollar at the end of the day. And if you want to spend, $150 versus $400, if that makes more sense to you, then absolutely more power to you. I think that's the right decision to make.
Yeah.
But I think it's bad to crap on something when you don't fully understand it either,
Yeah. And for me, I guess I don't, there seems like two camps. Like it's like being pitted at, against each other. You got the entry pricing, a little bit more, mass appeal versus high-end designer, and people feel like both of those cannot coexist. And the reality is, I think we need both in the hobby. Like, you need something to pull people into the hobby, and then you need a high end to kind of keep the interest and the passion going. And that may not be for everybody, and that's fine. It wasn't meant to be for everybody, but you need that sort of a pipeline, for both, because there's a crowd and community for both. It's not, one growing does not really necessarily negate the other or hurt the other, if that makes sense.
Well, I think, in my opinion, I have two things I'd like to add on to that, which is all of these things, even the budget keyboards, are luxury goods.
Yeah.
If you buy anything past your stock $20 keyboard that comes with the computer, it's a luxury item. There's different levels of luxury, obviously.
Sure.
But I do think that people need to start looking at it like that too, because there's some people who literally cannot afford even the $30 or $40 keyboards.
Yeah.
So you're privileged for even getting something $100+. And then the second camp that, people sometimes will bring up here and there is, well, I'd rather buy the $200 keyboard because the $400 keyboard, like, they're obviously making crap tons of money. The answer to a lot of that is usually that's not true. Sometimes people have run projects for close to nothing and where they're making bare minimum because they want the product to do well. But it actually leads to more problems that people don't always see, and which maybe people have seen kind of now, with a lot of vendors just collapsing because there's no money to be made with certain things.
Yep.
But yeah, pricing something where you only make $5 to $10 a unit is usually a bad idea. And some people might think of that as something very passionate and noble, but the moment you run into problems, the moment you're gonna have to start, taking money out of your own pocket, which means you might collapse as a business, which is no good for anyone.
Yeah.
So I do think that people need to be more aware that customer support and stuff does have an inherent cost.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, like if you have to sell 20 keyboards to replace one, because it's almost inevitable that something's going to get lost in shipping, it's going to be damaged. Like, I don't know that I've ever had a run come without at least one B stock or something happen. It's like, if you have to make up that loss by selling 20 more, it's like, what if you only sold 50 to begin with? You have no room for that kind of stuff. And then it's like, how are you going to support your customers? Like, I want to be able to send somebody a PCB if their PCB gets damaged. And like, you need money to be able to order extras and that kind of stuff. So like, I think that's like Alex is saying, it's a little bit of a misconception that you're not necessarily paying for a physical good when you pay more, but you're paying for better support, you're paying for people to be able to reinvest those projects. Like Alex and I, we this might be a little bit of a leak, but we're prototyping other stuff. So like, we're using proceeds from the Manta 65 to work on new stuff, and like that money has to come from somewhere. And like, if you want us to be able to keep streaming and being in the community at all, it's like it's just like, why do you go to work? Like you gotta make money somehow. It's like, and it's paying for something. Like, you're not just giving us money to go on a vacation or something. Like, I think at least for us, like, it's a lot of reinvestment, like, and trying to uplift the community, do fun stuff like that. So,
well,
we're not buying McLarens,
Yeah.
Now that people know of, man, I've seen. I know where you're.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
I can't drive, so.
But
I ain't no McLaren in my head.
You got a Lego one, dude.
I wish. I got a Clone Trooper helmet.
Well, like, I do want to add that to this part. I feel like sometimes you guys are so nice about this. It's also like, we need people to pay you guys to do what you do. For Alex, to continue streaming, continue to promoting, products that you believe in. For Bowl, for you to be a vendor, providing quality service, designing keyboards and all that. Like, we need, we want you guys to be involved and contributing the way you are, and you guys need to eat, and keyboards don't taste good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there is an element to all of this of it's okay, for you guys to earn a living doing this, because I don't, I'm not seeing guys, getting private jets or anything, or even far from it. It's just but in terms of just for you guys to make money, to be able to live and continue to be involved in a hobby, it's honestly a win-win for everybody, for you guys and the hobby in itself, because of based on what you guys are contributing to the hobby. So, yeah, I don't know, just there's a part of me going I think it's okay, and I think we kind of need that too. So, yeah.
Did we lose Bolt?
I think so. I think he said his internet just went out.
Rest in peace, brother.
He hated what I just said. He's like, I'm out. I eat keyboards and I'm feeling judged.
It's like, I had a Manta for breakfast, you asshole.
Maybe you can just answer this, maybe for you and Bo, Alex, so to kind of wrap everything up, want to thank you guys so much, for your time, but what is the next for the Alexotos and Bowl keyboards collaboration, if you guys are allowed to share?
I can't say. Sorry.
Well, good talk.
There's more. That's what we got. We have prototypes being made.
That's all you're going to give me?
That,
there's more, and there's being made. That's it. Oh my gosh. All right, whatever. I'm done.
Here, how about this? There's already a prototype that we're gonna probably heavily revise.
Okay.
Yep.
But it's already done. We tested it. Bowls tested it, and now comes the heavily revising part. We're doing this one here different than we did the Manta. Manta was kind of cool. We have the final product. Let's prototype it.
Yeah.
This is a multi-stage thing. Because
it needs a little more R&D.
Yeah, because of a few different reasons, which we'll talk about after. We're going to be super, because I think it's a cool process. This one's actually a really interesting process.
Okay.
But this is going to be a multi-stage one because of reasons I will tell you guys, and Bowl will tell you guys afterwards. Okay. But there's reasons why we're multi-stage prototyping this one here.
You guys are such a tease. I accept for now. I accept. I don't think it's that complicated to do a body pillow, but whatever. Whatever you say.
Well, when you're making it out of titanium.
Oh.
Yeah, it's costly.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it like that.
It's going to have breathing mesh
custom
holes,
tooling, that kind of stuff.
Internal fans,
Cool.
But I can actually say this, though. It's not as complex as our current project. Okay. I don't think, and I've said this publicly.
It's not going to step on the toes of the Manta.
Okay.
There's probably not going to be something as crazy as the Manta probably for a little while. Like I said, this was an extremely complex project, and you know, I don't think we're going to run another $450 keyboard like right away. If we do in the future, it won't be soon.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for your time, and thank you guys for what you guys do. So, but yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you.
All right.